On today's show,
we congratulate Spurs coach Greg Popovich on his 1,000th regular season win.
In Crossfire, we pick who we'd like to see Kevin Durant play one-on-one.
And in the Up-Down Report, we debate the idea of a deep four-point line.
It's Tuesday, February 10th. The starter starts now.
Good day, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're joining us live online, listening to the podcast, or catching us on NBA TV, we're very, very happy to have you. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Millis.
We're going to talk about the best franchise this generation has ever seen. If you don't like it, get out of here.
To my right, Starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Ayo!
Ayo! And finally, the international man of mystery, that's Lee Ellis.
Amigos.
Lily, yes, before we get to those Spurs, we will get eventually to Crossfire, and we will get to the Up-Down Report. Always have a lot of fun with that. But last night, the Spurs rallying from 14 points back in the fourth quarter against the Pacers, and they give Greg Popovich his 1,000th career win. Regular season, of course, as an NBA coach. He's got another, 150 in the playoffs. He's the 9th coach to get to that 1,000 win plateau, and he's the 3rd quickest coach in history to do it. Only Phil Jackson and Pat Riley took fewer games to reach 1,000, but it is an unbelievable accomplishment, and I'm glad we are going to give it a little shine here on the show, just how long this man has been with the one franchise in the Spurs, and he actually joins Jerry Sloan there as the only guys to do it with one squad.
1,000 with one team, yeah.
I thought it was pretty fitting that Marco Bellinelli hit the game winner, a guy who is foreign-born. The Spurs have embraced that over the years.
Right.
Nine of their 15 players are foreign-born, which is pretty exceptional when you think about that. Also a role player who plays within himself, and that's what Pop has been getting out of guys over the years forever. Never play outside of your own game.
Exactly right.
Also, as you mentioned, down 14 a Monday night in February, just working hard in Indiana, a game that you could easily just sort of pass the buck and not play hard, but they come back from 10 with 6 minutes left. Just a hard game to win, and they did it for their coach that they always play hard for.
And again, just the latest accomplishment for a guy like Papa, 5 NBA championships, 3-time coach of the year, all of the consecutive playoff appearances, 17 straight right now, and that will be 18 soon
That's a lot.
And it's not just sneaking in. We know about the 15 consecutive 50-plus win seasons. He's coached the All-Star game 3 times.
Huge.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Every time.
I know that's his
Not
most
really
proudest
enjoyable.
accomplishment, but it's crazy. A guy that took over Lee in 1996, 97.
Feels like 19.
It feels like 1966 at times. But I mean, I saw this. You probably saw it on ESPN, pointing out like from that time, 96 to 97 to now, there are teams that have gone through something like 12 coaches.
Yeah.
The Pistons and Wizards have gone through 12 coaches, and here's Pop remaining with the one squad.
He's constantly evolved as the season and the NBA has progressed. He's always been innovative. Tasha mentioned, like with Marco Bellinelli. They weren't the first team to scout overseas, but they've probably been the best team at doing it. They always bring in guys. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili were basically unknowns in the league, and now they're Hall of Famers. He's always been a guy who's had not just the X's and O's, but he's also been a motivator. There are some coaches who are like, this guy is great at motivating his players, not necessarily tactically as good. Popovich always seems to be able to find the right mix of guys. He knows how to motivate guys individually without screaming and yelling at people. And he's just been a guy who understands that he's not necessarily always the smartest guy, but he surrounds himself with great assistant coaches and then great players.
It's a tough question to answer, but do you think Greg Popovich is the greatest coach of all time? Do you bump him ahead of guys like Phil Jackson, Red Auerbach, Pat Riley maybe?
I don't know how
Yeah,
you can
I think
possibly
it's
decide on
impossible.
this. You can put him on your Mount Rushmore of coaches just because he's definitely one of the 4 greatest of all times. I mean, Phil Jackson has a ton of titles, Red Auerbach has a ton of titles, but the continued success for Popovich is just kind of crazy, and that's why this is kind of an accomplishment for their management too. You don't see a coach stick with one franchise for a long time, and especially like if you go through troubles. Not that the Spurs ever really went through troubles, but there were like 5 or 6 years there where they lost in the first round, lost in the Western Conference Finals, where a lot of management would just be like, we need a change. We need something new.
right.
And so it's pretty cool to see this long continued success. Really nice.
When he gave himself the job way back in 1996. I don't like how people say, oh, this guy is far better than this guy, because it's hard enough to do with players, especially from different eras. And then when it comes to coaches, I mean, what they do we often don't see. Everything that they contribute to a basketball team is a lot of it's behind closed doors. We don't know how good these guys are. It all sort of depends on the players that you get. If they didn't happen to get Tim Duncan after David Robinson hurt his ankle or hurt his, was it a knee situation?
His neck.
Right? So who knows
Yeah.
what the situation would have been. I don't like comparing one guy to another. He's obviously one of the best coaches. Lee, you said he's innovated. He also embraced the three-point shot, which
Yep.
even in last year's finals, he called a gimmick and said he didn't like it, but you have to embrace it in this day and age.
Yeah, they won when the Spurs were a post-up, slow-down defensive team, and then
Exactly.
like 5 years ago they switched. They said we got to start shooting more and playing
Yeah.
faster. And now they're a fast offensive team with still a great defense, still doing it.
One thing you can't deny, though, is Popovich's influence on today's NBA. I mean, you just look at all the coaches that either played for this guy or are on his bench as an assistant coach or a video coordinator, and these are the 6 guys currently. Oh, yeah, the 2 best coaches, in terms of records, of course, in the league, and Steve Kerr in the West and Mike Budenholzer in the East with the Hawks. Other guys, and we include them, Mike Brown, Avery Johnson, Vinny Del Negro, Jacques Vaughn. I was going to say a lot of these guys have had success and won a lot of games.
No one's perfect.
No one's perfect, but then even the guys in the executive roles, I mean, it goes on. Pritchard, Danny Ferry, and Presti,
Presti,
like
yeah.
the influence that a guy like Pop has had, like his tree, so
Yeah.
to speak, his NBA tree is crazy.
And the thing is, when he hires assistants, he doesn't hire them and dictate to them what they're going to
Right.
do. He empowers them. He wants them to bring a different angle to the game that he might not necessarily thought of. You saw that with Becky Hammond this year, hiring the first female full-time paid member of staff, because he wanted just a different voice in the locker room. And again, that's the sort of thing about Greg Popovich. He doesn't know everything. He has other people there to help him out. And I think you have to, the highest compliment you can pay to him and the Spurs is everyone wants to replicate the Spurs way.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing right now. I mean, look at what Michael Budenholzer is doing with the Atlanta Hawks. They're basically playing the Spurs East. That's what we've been calling them. And teams are now trying to incorporate that. Of course, again, I mean, Greg Popovich wasn't this way when he started. He just learnt over time. He evolved over time and got so many great players and surrounded himself with that, and the success followed.
I like one of his first moves as a GM before he took the coaching ranks was to trade away Dennis Rodman, trade him to the Bulls, where he won 3 titles because he loves all types of players, but he also wants guys to buy in, and Rodman wasn't buying in at the time, so he decided, all right, let's move on. Not only does he get players or coaches from the NBA ranks, but also from Europe. Like Ettore Messina is on his bench, always getting sort of teachings from Europe and bringing guys over as well. He's always expanding.
One thing we were talking about before we came on the show is when Popovich eventually does retire, and he just signed a 5-year contract extension. He says he probably won't last all 5 years, and he did it because of the ownership. But when he does, you got to figure the Spurs are going to consider at least giving him a statue. And we were like, what would a Greg Popovich statue look like? Well, what would he be even doing? So we came up with some possible suggestions.
Yeah,
for a
here's one of
statue.
him just with a bottle of red wine and a military history book, his 2 true loves.
That's right.
Besides basketball, another great one would be the time he fouled Shaq in the very first play of the season, dropped the dorkiest double thumbs up before the very solid play was invented.
Yeah, I was going to say, that would be Lee Ellis's statue.
Yeah, this would be a famous moment. Him humiliating a sideline reporter, something that will go down in the history books.
Yep.
Or maybe it will just be Donald Sutherland standing outside in character as Greg Popovich, saying hi to people, giving him
Oh, like a
teachings.
live statue,
Yeah, like a living statue.
Yeah.
Better than animatronics. Or most likely, it'll just be a plaque with his name on it because he's not standing to pose for a statue.
Yeah, that is actually most likely, because if they asked him, hey, we would love to give you a statue, I could see, you would think Pop would be like, I don't want a statue. Don't waste your time and money on that.
One thing, though, about Popovich, he has got this surly reputation, but he actually says when he recruits players and coaches, he looks for a sense of humour. Because he thinks that's a very, very important thing. So, Popovich, he brings it to the media and he likes to show off, but deep down, he's actually a funny guy.
Yeah, he knows the season is long. It's nice to have a little bit of fun along the way.
And we're talking about, of course, the milestone, the 1,000 wins. But let's keep in mind here, the Spurs, that was a big win. They had lost to the Raptors, so they just started their rodeo road trip. They do this every year where they're on the road for a long time. This one over the All-Star break. We're going to play all of these teams here, as you see. So they're 1-1 on this one. This is when usually, though, over the last couple of years, the Spurs start getting it together. They've got a great record since 2003. 72-31 on the rodeo trip. It's when they sort of, and he's talked about it, where they flip that proverbial switch, where they can go out on the road and start trying to try to string together some W's. So it'll be fun to watch the Spurs, and you see them in the loaded West. You want to do that.
And sometimes you doubt if a team can flip a switch, but with the Spurs, you're like, no, they'll do it. This is what they do.
Yeah.
And they've been injured all year. It's easy to forget
that's
Kawhi
right.
out for a long period of time. So 7th in the East or the West right now is still an accomplishment.
Absolutely, yeah. With all the other injuries to some of the other squads now, be it the Clippers and the Pelicans.
gonna be
and
climbing.
Davis. Yeah, you're right. All right, gotta take a break. Lots more still to come when we come back. Kevin Durant suggests a one-on-one battle for his All-Star spot. We'll have some fun with that and a whole lot more when we get into Crossfire. Back with the starters.
Whoa, this is a serious edition of Crossfire. If you're new to the show, this is how it works. Trey will give Skeets and me 3 topics. We'll debate each one, and at the end of it all, Trey will declare a winner. Trey, what is our first topic, sir?
First question, Dwayne Wade just announced he won't be playing in this Sunday's All-Star game. As of recording, no replacement has been named yet, so who should replace Dwayner at this year's All-Star game?
Oh, it's got to be the Hawks' Kyle Korver. He is having a season for the ages, 50, 50, 90, and coach's game plan for this guy. He has perfected his craft. Everyone is watching him on the floor. We were down at the best regular season game thus far this season, Friday night, Warriors, Hawks. Not only are the opposing players watching him, the opposing coach is watching him, his own teammates are watching him. Everybody wants to get this guy the ball because his three-point shot is automatic. It's a perfect season. Give him an all-star berth.
I don't mind it. But what about the Milwaukee Bucks? What about the Bucks? They've been one of the best stories of this NBA season, the turnaround. They were the worst team last year. Now they're 29-23. That's pretty deserving of at least one All-Star in the East, and it should be
Who's it gonna be?
Brandon Knight. It should be Brandon Knight. His numbers are fantastic. They really are. 18, 5, and 4. This guy, he's not Korver, but he's shooting 40% from 3. He shoots a lot of them as well. I really think you can make a case for Brandon Knight being the lone Milwaukee Bucks representative. You already got 3 Hawks. You already got him. Korver's going to win the three-point contest.
His numbers
probably.
aren't much different from last year.
They're better than Korver's, though.
Yeah, but
They're a tad
Korver's
better.
more special.
All right, next question, Trey.
Second question, dunks, threes, a fashion contest. What is the best part of All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, there's a lot to like. I'm going to go with the three-point contest, though. It's consistently entertaining, and this year especially, when you see the 8 guys that we have, this is going to be one for the ages.
It's a lineup.
I know I'm hyping it up here, but it really is going to be incredible. I love that we have the Splash Brothers going head-to-head. You got the Korver counter. You got Bellinelli, the defending champ. You got another winner, in Irving. I mean, all these guys could win this thing. I love it. I go three-point contest, hands down.
Aside from the events, which are going to be fantastic this year, we don't get to talk to players all that often. And I love going down to Media Day and getting these players to talk to us. We often ask them funny questions. Dirk gave us the sound of a pelican there. He's really good at it. It sounded something like, "Bah!" But these guys show their personality. They love doing it. Marco Bellinelli saying that I don't eat smoothies because I don't want to be fat, in his words. I just love talking to these guys, and they have a good time doing it. They get to show their personalities, which quite often some of the other media members don't get the best questions. Just use our questions.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to change my answer. I like talking.
Topic number 3.
All right, final one.
Final question, Kevin Durant said that anyone who wants his All-Star spot can play him one-on-one for it. Who do you want to see KD play one-on-one?
Well, during the FIBA World Cup, some footage was released of Harden, Durant, and Paul George going one-on-one.
That was awesome.
I would love to see Harden and Durant go one-on-one. First of all, they have their OKC kind of history to go back on. Also, we've never seen James Harden play better defense than he did in that footage against Kevin Durant. Yeah. They would really, really go at it. 2 of the best players in the league.
I love it, but hold on. Harden's already in the All-Star game.
I don't care.
No, Durant is saying, hey, well, you guys that think you deserve my spot because you didn't get in, because I didn't play a lot of games.
I'm picking the best guy. That's the game I'd want to see, one-on-one.
Draymond Green. Sign me up for the Draymond Green versus Kevin Durant for the All-Star spot.
Why, so he crushes him?
And the reason I picked this is because, of course, you got KD, the best offensive player in the game, probably. Well, Draymond Green, one of the best defensive players at that position, size-wise. This would be a great matchup. Green's not afraid of anyone. We've seen him bark at LeBron, stick the tongue out at Blake. He would go at Durant. This would be must-watch television. I go Draymond Green.
I think Harden would do a good job of using his body, backing up that behind.
He's already in it.
I don't care.
All right. Who won this thing?
Skeets is the winner today, and it's all because of that Crossfire arms dance you started with. Really got the energy pumping.
It's so tiring. I don't know how people box. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, thumbs up or thumbs down for the idea of a deep 4-point line. We'll get into that next. Come on back. You're watching the starters. Oh, what an arm workout.
First workout all year.
Welcome back to the starters, into the up-down report, where we figure out where the 4 of us stand on some hot button NBA topics. We ask you to play along as well. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters, thumbs up or thumbs down for the following. First one, guys. Despite losing 2 games, so their last 5, the Hawks remained number 1 in a majority of your NBA power rankings, NBA.com's, ESPN's, Yahoo, CBS. They're all still number 1. Thumbs up or thumbs down on them staying there, number 1. We all agree that still, again, despite those road losses to the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, they should stay there.
We are all good with this. So we were all down there for the Hawks beating the Golden State Warriors. Best regular season game thus far, and that's the number 2 team in the rankings, the Golden State Warriors. So if you beat that team, how can you drop down? I understand the Pelicans loss, they broke their streak. The Grizzlies loss, I think, was a little bit more significant because it shows when you go up against a big team, you match them up against the Hawks' small front line, they are apt to give up some defensive rebounds, and that's what happened against the Memphis Grizzlies. But still, their streak had to get broken. And that's fine.
And they've already beat the Pelicans and the Grizzlies this season, both when they had them here in Atlanta. So I'm fine with the Warriors staying number 1 because, like you said, we were at the Fortress on Friday. They looked awesome.
Yes.
They looked amazing. It was kind of dicey through the first half, a little scared of Bogut, but as soon as they figured it out, it was 3-fest. It was cool.
Next one here, up or down on a 4-point line. Phil Jackson recently told the New York Times, which we were just in, by the way. He told the New York Times that he endorses a 4-point line. Yes, a 4-point line, a few feet behind the 3-point line.
Come on, Phil.
3 of us. Wait, are you talking to me?
No.
Oh, Phil Jackson.
Oh, that was in the New York Times.
Exactly. 3 of us up on the 4-point line. Tass, the only one down. You don't like this.
No, I do not like this. You're just asking for more long shots and less shots on the inside, which are going to clank, by the way. There's going to be a lot of clanking. Second of all, do we add an extra point for a long touchdown or a long home run? No.
Maybe we should.
No,
I don't
we
watch
shouldn't.
those sports.
It doesn't make, and we'd also get more intentional fouls at the end of games because you can make up for it with 1 shot.
Right.
You can make up 4 points. I don't like that whatsoever. Adam Silver said, and this is definitely a huge issue for the league, we want to speed up the end of games. 4 points in 1 shot does not speed up the end of
Lee, you
games.
disagree or why?
Things always seem weird at the start. I think the 3-point line would have seemed
if
weird.
you're a
unintentionally.
revolutionary, that makes sense, but still.
I think we should try this out in the D-League and just see how it goes first before we just dismiss it. Because that's part of the reason why the D-League's there. Let's experiment with these things and just see. Because it doesn't have to be necessarily miles back. It just needs to be a little bit back. And then guys can just chuck them up. I mean, you see the way Kyle Korver and Steph Curry, those guys hit them with Durant. They are miles behind the 3-point line anyway.
Yeah, you say guys
and
will
you're
be
going to get a
clanking
J.R.
shots.
Smith out there.
That's
clanking.
No.
perfect
You
for
say
JR.
guys will be clanking shots, but we had a stat. I remember last year we talked about this at one point, and we had a stat showing like what guys were percentage-wise. Some of the guys in the league, of course, from like 25 to 28 feet. They were good. Your Crawfords and your Currys and stuff. These guys can hit these shots.
We're talking
That's
about
why.
8 of 400 players.
I
So
know,
that's a
I
pretty
understand.
small
I understand. Hey,
percentage.
let's hear what people think.
Small samples.
I know what Antoine Walker thinks. He loves this
coming
idea
back.
of the 4-point shot.
Come back.
All right, next one here. A minor trade today between the Wolves and the Hornets. Woj was the first to report it. Charlotte acquiring guards Mo Williams and Troy Daniels from Minnesota for Gary Neal and a 2nd-round pick. Thumbs up or thumbs down on this? Again, minor Wolves-Hornets trade. All of us, thumbs up. Wow, we're all agreeing today.
Yeah,
What's
if
going
you
on
can
here?
pick up a 50-point scorer for nothing, you got to do it.
Yeah.
The Hornets just need a little bit of insurance there for Kemba Walker, who might
Right.
be out for another 5 or 6 weeks. Brian Robertson's not quite able to fill that role himself.
They want to make the playoffs,
Yes,
too.
so I think it's good for the Hornets.
And in another separate transaction, the Timberwolves acquiring Adrian Payne from the Atlanta Hawks.
Yep.
A good little move for them.
Sure.
And the Hawks possibly freeing up a roster spot because they only got a 1st-round pick back for a shooter. Maybe a Ray Allen.
Yep.
Maybe a Gary Neal if he's released. So it works out for both teams. The Hawks looking to win now.
Yeah, another reason I like it for the Hornets. They don't want to play Lance anymore at the point that they have to. They
They're
want to
making the
avoid
playoffs.
that
They don't
want to
at
play
all
Lance at
costs.
all.
So I do like that, and we're all thumbs up. All right, final one here. Love this one. Today, the Philadelphia 76ers unveiled their new mascot. It is a fuzzy blue dog named Franklin.
Oh, yeah.
We disagree on this one. A couple thumbs up from Tass and Lee, and Trey and I are thumbs down.
Good choice, Lee.
Why don't you guys start with telling us why you like Franklin here? He's got some cool moves. I'll give him
There
that.
you go. How can you not love him? This is the first we've seen of him. He's a blue dog. He's busting out the Michael Jackson. This is going to be
I'll
great.
tell you what, he looks like the dog from Duck Hunt.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right?
In the face.
That looks exactly like the dog that would go get your ducks, except he's blue. Yeah, he pops up.
Well, I'm
Kids
glad
are
that
gonna
guy's
love
getting work again.
Listen, having a mascot is better than not having a mascot.
That's
That's
for
right.
sure.
2
That's
minutes in
right.
heaven is better than 1 minute in heaven.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are so many like historical things you could bring up with the 76ers, and they chose a dog. A
For
dog.
Ben Franklin. Named after
why
Ben.
not
Did
just
Ben
a
Franklin
giant
have
bell?
a blue dog?
Maybe.
Let's hear what people think. Again, jump on Twitter, hashtag the Stars. Tass, we had another wedgie last
We
night.
did. We show you each one because they are so beautiful. This one, courtesy of Nudie Gobert. Nudie Gobert ain't wearing nothing but a wedgie. Rudy Gobert putting it up with his left hand.
Ooh, a lefty.
Left wedgie. Wow,
Yes,
a left
a rare left wedgie. Although they're not quite rare this year, we have now 31 wedges
Nice one.
this season.
Squiggle job.
Yeah, that's all right. There
Oh,
it is.
well.
Yeah, 31 total wedgies. We're now counting the total wedgies.
We're gonna get to 50.
Let's get the unicorn out here. Let's get to the Starters Fantasy Minute. Lee, got a question from Josh. He writes, Darren Williams just became available on my waiver wire. I know he's been bad this season, but is he worth picking up? Should I drop someone like Lou Williams with the Raps or Jordan Clarkson with the Lakers for him? Again, that's from Josh. He says, cheers in advance. So help him out.
Man,
Should
Josh,
he
well,
consider picking up Darren?
in our season preview, I said to stay away from Darren Williams simply because he's too injury prone, and even when he does play, the production's just not there.
Yeah.
He's only giving you 13 points a game, six assists a game, and he doesn't shoot the ball particularly well. Now, Lou Williams, I understand, he's a bit of a streaky player.
Yeah.
He is hot and cold, but he gets to the line 5 times a game, which is good because that's how he subsidizes his points when he's not shooting the ball particularly well. And Lou Williams has those games. We've all seen it. He'll hit 4 or 5 threes. He'll give you 25, 26 points. Way more fun to watch. If Lou Williams is on your team, do not drop him. Do not pick up Darren Williams.
That's how you evaluate whether or not a guy is fun to watch.
It-
Come on!
It does play a part in how I watch basketball.
What position are you in again?
Oh, I'm low, but listen, do what I say, not what I do, okay?
All right, good luck,
You're
Josh.
looking up at Nudie Gobert's wedgie.
I didn't look up at him last week when I beat him 5-4.
Let's take a break. When we return, we'll talk more about our fantasy basketball victories, and we'll get to the pick and payoff results and Lee's very solid play. Come on back.
I'm gonna fix that one.
Back with the Starters, a look at last night's pick and payoff results. Nothing changes in the overall standings. We split the 2 games we disagreed on. I had the Jazz, Tass went with the Pelicans, and Tass was correct about the Clippers beating the Mavs. So 4-1 night for both of us, a great night. I remained 4 games up. Tonight's picks, we agree on a lot of them. The Hornets at home, the Bulls at home, the Grizzlies at home, and the Nuggets who are playing the Lakers. The one game we disagree on, I'm taking the Suns at home, and Tass is taking the Rockets. So a big
Buzzer
game.
beater for the Rockets tonight?
Oh, let's hope now. Let's hope we get the Suns get it done tonight. Lee,
Yes.
where are we going for your very solid play of the night?
Minnesota for the Atlanta Hawks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. How do you get a wide open layup in a half-court set when there's defenders in the paint? This is how.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Nice
Beautiful
handoff
play.
action.
3 All-Stars connecting on that. Jeff Teague finishes with my favorite layup, and that's what I call a very solid play.
That was a Ricky Bubio.
Excellent.
Caught sleeping.
Lee is a big fan of the layup, but on Friday's show, when we'll be in NYC, we'll see some Lee Ellis dunks. We'll be going head-to-head with Trey Kirby in round 2 of the worst dunk contest ever. Again,
What about 2002? No, only joking. only
6 p.m. Eastern, live from New York, February 13th. And then on Saturday, just a reminder, our top 20 NBA All-Star moments. It actually premieres at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll be again on at 4, so lots of fun. We'll be back tomorrow, though, before we head to New York.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, if you want to get across that you're not making a joke, all you have to say is, it's not a humor.
Brace tonight, people.